number 9 car, that is Kasey Kahne. Kahne was 5th fastest in his Whisk Dodge. That's Evernham Motorsports. Johnny Sauter in the 00 car was 4th fastest. 3rd quickest. Greg Biffle in his Ford Fusion for Roush Racing. Heavy dose of Nextel Cup regulars, vying for 43 spots in this Busch Series race. Jamie McMurray's in the 64 car. That's owned by Rusty Wallace. 2nd quickest for McMurray. And the fastest, another Cup regular out of Ganassi Racing, Casey Mears in the 42 Haviland Dodge. There he goes underneath Boris Said in the 4 car. A couple of incidents. Rookie Bernie Lamar in the 77 gets loose, and he will back it into the wall. He drives for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. You know, Jimmy Johnson's won the last 4 points races here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Even the best have a tough day as he backs his Busch Series car into the wall. Of course, he won the All-Star race on Saturday night. So there's a look at the top 10 fastest. Kurt Busch making his 2nd start. Remember, he won in the 39 car at the Texas Motor Speedway. And Denny Hamlin rounding out the top 10. Let's go now and check the short to Sunday's race after 11 events of a 36 race schedule. Jimmy Johnson has the lead over Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin trying to win the title in his final full year of Nextel Cup competition. Dale Earnhardt Jr. not happy with his race car today. He is 5th in points, followed by Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Kasey Kahne, Kevin Harvick, and Jeff Burton moves up into the top 10 after the last race. Points race, of course, last weekend was the All-Star race. No points awarded there, just $1 million and some unhappy drivers. Now, let's take a look at practice from earlier today. They had about an hour and a half to get dialed in for Bud Bowl qualifying. Kevin Harvick wasn't fast early, but they made a qualifying run late. 6th fastest for Kevin Harvick in the Reese's Chevrolet of Richard Childress Racing. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car. All of the Evernham Motorsports Dodges were fast. 4th fastest for Mayfield in that number 19. Kurt Busch struggled for most of the practice, but then they blocked it off, taped up the nose. He went out 3rd fastest in his Dodge for Penske South. Kasey Kahne in the 9 car. He has 2 wins this year from the pole, Atlanta and Texas. And you know what? Those racetracks are 1.5 miles. So Kasey Kahne is a threat to repeat that again here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. The fastest, well, he's hot right now. Just a few races ago, we were talking about Greg Biffle potentially missing the chase for the Nextel Cup. Well, he's moved up to 14th in points after a win at Darlington. Tony Stewart right behind David Stremme. Watch this, an amazing job of driving by Tony. He keeps it off the wall, doesn't hit anything. In fact, he was joking on the radio, told his guys laughing, "See, guys, I saved it. I didn't hit a thing." His teammate, J.J. Yaley, not as lucky. Same place, but backs it hard into the wall. The number 18 car, they did have to go to a backup. Let's take a look at the top 10 from practice. You see Greg Biffle. Top 7 drivers all over 181 miles an hour. Very good practice for Reed Sorensen and Jeff Green in the 66 car. Kyle Busch was atop the leaderboard early in the practice when it was extremely hot. Travis Kvapil, one of the drivers, not locked into the top 35 in points. He will have to make it in on his time and speed. So there's a look at the top 10 fastest in their first and only practice.
They didn't need that.
You can't tell me that what happened to him over here last week didn't have, he was thinking about that. I just could visibly see that in his lap that he made before this happened.
And Darrell, we talked at the top of the show, you know, they've got tape on the noses of these cars, which makes them looser. And it just seems like even in race configuration, the first few laps of a run, the cars are just so loose.
Well, Larry, even though the sun's not beaming down, the heat just draws the oil up out of that track, out of the asphalt as it sets. Watch this thing. Wide open, and then all of a sudden, around she goes.
And that's exactly what happened to Tony Stewart in practice, exactly what happened to J.J. Yeley.
And Larry, he's got to be saying, I couldn't have taken it any easier.
Well, the car looked good, and then just came around with him right there, just in the apex of turn 2.
Golly, I hate that for him.
Couldn't have done that motor any good either.
Well, like I say, you know, he had one lap in, and it's not going to be good enough to get in 31.26.
There's Kirk in the blue driver's suit. He is okay.
Mike, you mentioned made 2 races this year. One of them was the Daytona 500, finished 20th. And you know what? In my book, they almost need to create another category. We always look at top 5s and top 10s. Let me tell you, if you finish in the top 20 in Nextel Cup in a race today, you're actually doing pretty darn good.
Yes.
Couple 100,000 good.
Michael Waltrip will go home from the Coca-Cola 600, 30.01.
Bad news for Michael. Scott Wimmer is safe. He will race Sunday, and there's one spot left.
First race I ever missed was right here.
Don't bottom out. He bottomed out. It shot him all the way up the racetrack.
This is the Atomic X Energy Drink Dodge. And either this car or Derek Cope will race tomorrow. The speed that Carl has to beat is 29.60.
He was just going for too much, DW.
Yeah.
He was in.
He was in all the way into turn 3. And the reason the tracker came way down, entrance speed just too much.
He was in, and now he is out. Carl Long will head home.
That's a shame. I mean, you know, again, it's not a shame, obviously, for Derek Cope. That puts Derek Cope in. But he was definitely going to be in the show, it looked like.
That's going for it. That's all you can say. He was just going for it. He knew what he had to do, and he was trying to pull it off. Just didn't quite make it. Did a darn good job of keeping from wrecking it right there. Totally.
If the track had been a foot wider, maybe.
That dadgone safer barrier was 36 inches.
It's a good thing it's there.
Good news, bad news. I needed that 36 inches.
He just kind of skimmed it just a little bit.
Scraped it.
Just enough to take about 1 second off his time and send him to the house instead of to the starting grid.
A little slower off into turn 3, 197 versus 198 on that first lap.
I think if you don't do it on the first one, we haven't seen many guys pick up.
So Ray Evernham owns